two-edged sword because that means a lot of rain and a lot of water. The Carrizo Plain, which we'll be talking about tonight, is a national landmark. It's owned by the Nature Conservancy. It covers about 500 square miles, and it's between Bakersfield and Santa Barbara. Um, I'll explain about it in a little bit when we get to it. I've never, now I was born and raised down in that area, but I've lived in Oregon now for 42 years. So I always consider this home, but I have memories about that place. Some of them are pleasant. That's why I'm here. But I've never seen snow in the Carrizo Plain. And I got a picture from a friend last week, about 8 days ago, 6 inches of snow in the Carrizo Plain. Now, that means water. And that means super blue. So we're going to talk about the places I've been watching this year with intention to photograph because I expect super blooms. Most of them are happening. There's one that I've heard recently isn't going to happen, but we'll cover all of that. So let's see if I can get this to work. Well, maybe not. All right, how do you advance this? Oh, there it is. Okay. So these are the areas that we're going to be talking about. There's 4 in California. Death Valley. Oh, I thought I did that. Had me nervous. This is the Carrizo Plain, the Poppy Reserve, and Hike Cove out of Yosemite. We're going to be talking about areas in the Northwest also. So this is the Lower Table Rock out of Medford. I expect a big bloom there this year. Three-Fingered Jack. Hopefully I'll remember these as we go through them. This is a Zumwalt Prairie. Whoop. Well, let's go through them. Death Valley. So I just talked to the rangers a couple days ago, and Death Valley is the one place in Southern California that was spared from the snow and the rain. They don't expect much of a bloom there at all this year, which is unfortunate, because I'll show you some pictures about what Death Valley looks like when it's in a super bloom. There was a super bloom, I think in 2016 or 17. I was down there. I went down there in April to see the super bloom and went back 4 times in April because it kept progressing up the sides of the mountains. And the higher it got, the different colors came in vogue because different species grew at different elevations. But the valley floor gets this beautiful golden color. So this is where Death Valley is. And there's a lot of cool things in Death Valley. I've been there probably 40 times in my lifetime. And people say, why? It just draws me, mainly because there's no people there. This is one of my shots from the super bloom. This is what it looks like when Death Valley is in bloom, and this is everywhere. This is what I was hoping for this year, but they don't think it's going to happen. It's everywhere. And as it progresses up the sides of the hill, lupins come in, so you get blues and purples, other colors come in. See, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere. This is a shot I borrowed from the internet. And there are a lot of other things to do in Death Valley in case you're interested. It's a photographer's For me, it's a dream location. There's just so much to photograph and see there. Zabriskie Point is a favorite. The dunes, there's three big patches of dunes in Death Valley. On the north end are the Eureka Dunes, which are massive. Lots of ghost towns. There's a racetrack where the rocks actually move across the desert. And if you can tell me why, that would be great, because I've read articles, but there's so many different opinions about it. And the bristlecone pines are right next door. Another place I'm watching is Carrizo Plain. So I just checked, and what they're looking at now is towards the end of March, possibly through April. So I will be planning a trip down there. I'll be looking closely at that at the last week of March. So if any of you are interested in knowing more about that, reach out to me or contact me through the website or something, because I'll tell you the dates. Um, in a normal time, it would peak around the 1st of April. But now that they had snow on the ground just a week ago, it's probably going to be a little later. Here's an outline of the Carrizo Plain. The Carrizo Plain was an area where the San Andreas Fault opened up. And then it's got a couple of hills on both sides of it, the Caliente Hills here and the Tembler Hills on the east side that have filled in the valley. And it's 500 square miles. It's a 50-mile dirt road that runs through the middle of it. And it's a national landmark now. And I believe it's owned entirely by the Nature Conservancy. When you're there in a super bloom, you can't walk anywhere without stepping on wildflowers. Now, how many of you have been to the Carrizo Plain or ever heard about the Carrizo Plain? Okay. It's in between Bakersfield and Santa Barbara. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, let me show you. So here's Taft. Bakersfield is about right here. Um, oil wells. Yeah. This is what happens in a super bloom of the Carrizo Plain. Now, I borrowed most of these shots from the internet, so they're kind of fuzzy. But this is what happens all across the hills and all through the valley. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? When it's in a super bloom, they can actually see this from satellites and they take pictures of it. Just go through, this is along the Tembler Hills, and you walk through these valleys. There's lots of trails. This is one of my shots from Carrizo Plain. It's everywhere. And for 50 miles on the drive, it smells like you're in a perfume bottle. It's amazing. So this is definitely on my list to watch this year. And we are expecting a super bloom this year in the next few weeks. Carrizo Plain. Yep. Carrizo. Right next door to the Carrizo Plain is the Poppy Reserve. I've been down there half a dozen times and never seen a bloom that was worth photographing. But with this year, I'm expecting that's going to change. Just looking at what's happening around San Diego area and Anza Borrego, they're in the midst of a super bloom down there. They got lots of water this year. So these are shots I borrowed from the internet also, just to give you an idea. This is actually a reserve that's been set aside in California just for the poppies. These are the trails. Look at that. Pretty amazing. it's a great place to photograph because, as is the Carrizo Plain, because you have lots of different terrain. Um, you've got rolling hills, you've got old barns, you've got a lot of stuff that you can use as background. Plus that incredible bloom. This is a shot I took. This is closer to San Diego. I took that shot about 6 years ago. But this is typical of what's happening down there right now. Any questions so far on any of this? There's one other spot I've highlighted in California I've been wanting to get back to, and that's Hike Cove. Again, Yosemite has 15 foot of snow on the valley floor right now. Hike Cove is not in Yosemite. It's just before you get to Yosemite. It's along the Merced River. But it's got great terrain, lots of rocks, lots of poppies. That's what it's noted for. This is the kind of thing you see there. This is of interest to me because of this. Plus, the poppies go right up to the edge of the river. This is an opportunity to get some great river shots with wildflowers all around it. That's what I've got for California. Sometimes I debate whether I want to drive to California anymore. This is one of the few reasons I would go back. So out of Medford is Lower and Upper Table Rocks. They're just east of Medford. I'm not sure about the Nature Conservancy's role there. I think they may in fact be also owned by the Nature Conservancy. I'm interested in Lower Table Rock. I think Upper Table Rock is where they have an airstrip running through the middle of it, an old airstrip. Kind of takes away from the bloom. If the bloom is on there, this is the kind of thing you get. And it's abundant. There's one particular area of interest. I borrowed these shots from the internet too. This is the area I'm interested in. Even when it's blooming there, this is from a friend, Charlie Russell. He takes these photographs. Even when there's a bloom on, it's rare that this creek has the bloom. This year, there's a really good potential that this scene will be there this year. So for me, it's worth a trip to go see and to take my camera gear. Anybody been to Lower Table Rock before? This is another scene. Just flowers everywhere. This is the view from Table Rock. There's the valley down there. So it's pretty dramatic. You interrupt with a question anytime. Let's back up. I should have said, yeah. Whoop. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Well, that's okay. Mid-April. Yeah. I think those times are pretty good because we did not get the cold and frozen weather that California got. We did get more snow than we normally get, but not as much rain. Sunwall Prairie. This is owned by the Nature Conservancy. It's one of the last remaining large stands of native grasses anywhere in North America. And it's over out of Imnaha. You guys know that, right? I'm going there because of the bloom. It's known for its lupins, but it also gets many other species. And the Wallowas and the blues are around it. It reminds me of the Palouse. This is what it's noted for, the lupins. I borrowed all of those pictures from the internet. So mid-March to mid-April. Might be a little later than that, but that's the time frame. So these are coming up pretty quick. You all know about Rowena crest, right? Mosier. This is a balsam root and phlox and Indian paintbrush. This is not my shop, but this is one of the locations I would like to shoot. That's where the McCall Trail is, right at the end of Rowena crest. These are all my shots. So, and it's everywhere. The problem with Rowena crest is that there is a lot of private land there. You have to be kind of careful where you're walking. And then there's the Dallas Mountain Ranch right across the river. You guys know about Dallas Mountain, right? It's Rowena crest on steroids. It's a huge expanse. It's an old homestead ranch that was donated to the state of Washington, and it's now a huge nature preserve. Here you see phlox. It's got this pinkish phlox that grows. The blue and purple lupins and balsam root. Those are the predominant wildflowers there. These are all my shots. And there is a really cool landmark there besides the old barn. It's that guy. I don't know what year that is. I think it's a Dodge, but we're not sure. It's laying in the middle of this wildflower field. And it could be. Oh, it could be. Yeah. 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 Good luck with that. There are pieces of it laying around it. How many have seen the car there? Yeah. It's pretty, once you know where it is, it's real easy to find. Three-fingered jack. So the three-fingered jack requires a permit from the 15th of July through half of October. It was the first time I read about the permit requirements, it implied there was somewhat of a lottery, but I just read the website again today, and it looks like it's just a simple $5 fee to get the permit. So I'm not sure where that lottery issue came in. I think they were debating it at one time. It may still be the way it is. It was a mess, yeah. So fortunately that happened during COVID, so they cleaned it up now. Right now, the way I understand it, you drive there, you buy the $5 permit and put it in your car window and you're allowed to hike back there. How many have hiked back to Three Finger Jack? couple. It's one of my favorite hikes. It's about 7 miles round trip, but there's this beautiful meadow that's on two sides of the mountain back there. It's called the Canyon Creek Meadow. And Canyon Creek is right here. It flows off a number of glaciers on the mountain. And you're right there. Three Finger Jack is right in your face. Yeah, this is one of mine. And if you're up there, I've rarely been up there. I've been up there probably 4 times now, maybe 5. I've never been up there when I have not seen mountain goats climbing up the side of that cliff. I've seen as many as a dozen up there and as few as 3 or 4. Right on the other side of this little knoll, there's a big lake down here where they, not a big lake, but there's a lake down here where they go get water. So you can see them down there quite often. And this is on the east side of Three Finger Jack. You can see the stream flow here. This is Canyon Creek. It's below the meadow. I borrowed that shot from the internet. Lots of lupins. This is well worth the hike. It's not a bad hike. Yeah, it's not a bad hike. There's a couple of steep locations, steep spots, but I can do it. Which probably isn't saying much. And paintbrush. And of course, Mount Rainier, which is a world um, renowned site. It's a World Heritage Site for wildflowers. I assume most of you have been to Mount Rainier. There's 3 areas to photograph on Mount Rainier if you're looking for wildflowers. There's a lot of places to photograph. I didn't cover Tipso Lake or Reflection Lake or any of those places here, but I'm looking at just the wildflower blooms. There's the Paradise side, which is on the south, and then there's the Sunrise side, which is on the northeast side. They're about an hour's drive apart, or about an 8-day hike apart. But this is typical. You get bear grass, you get lupins, you get paintbrush. It's incredible. This is the Paradise side. And then this is on the Sunrise side. So I am planning a trip there. Like I said, I'm happy to have people tag along on any of these trips. Um, it's always fun to travel with other people that like to take photographs. And don't forget the fall shots. This is a shot I took about, oh gosh, 3 or 4 months ago. I walked right up to the edge here and I discovered there's 3 waterfalls on the mountain itself. I don't know if you can see it, but right there is a waterfall coming off the mountain. And the fall colors there, of course, are incredible. And the last one I'm tracking is the North Cascades. I borrowed all of these pictures. That's why it's on my bucket list. This is up out of Bellingham. Isn't that incredible? You know, I've been there once, just last fall. Yes. It looks pretty remote and it looks like it'd be difficult to take pictures like this. There are lots of trails close to parking areas. So this is not a very long hike at all. This is basically just a few yards to most of these spots. This one might be a little further. That's it. So any questions? Dan?
That is called a super balloon. You know, the experience.
Uh, the only one that I am speculative about is the lower Table Rock. The others are, they're going to have their consistent normal blooms, which to me are super blooms. So, yeah, the ones that are really going to have super blooms are those areas in California I pointed out that I would like to photograph this year. Yes. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, and if you contact me, I'll send you, the screenshot here of the maps that I drew also. Yes, you had a question? Closest to here would probably be the Three Finger Jack or the Dalles and Mosier. So I will. I'll put it on our club website. I'll do that. Yeah. But it's coming. It's going to be coming. California is slow because of the still prevalent snow. But I'm expecting Carrizo Plain to come to fire about first part of April. So that'll be one of my trips. That'd probably be perfect time. Yeah, if you're down there mid-April, you're going to see an incredible bloom down there. So yeah, I will update on the timing on these things on the club website. So no, I've never had that experience. Yeah, you know, when you're hiking to Three Finger Jack, you'll see quite a few people up to the waterfall. And from there, you get about half as many to the junction, and then you get about 8 or 10 that go beyond the junction where the trails merge. So there's very few people up in the meadow. Yes. It's an in and out for me. It's about 3 miles in and 3 miles out. I give it 3 miles. So for me, that's about an hour hike in. Well, that's a 20-minute mile. That's pretty. It can go slower than that too. Sometimes depends on whether I've had coffee in the morning or not. You bet. The hike out is easier because they want you to take the alternate route out. It's flatter, but it's a little longer. It's probably a quarter mile longer. They say that they get too many people running into each other if it's one trail. There is a junction well, I'll show you. There's a junction in there. Of course, I probably could have just clicked ahead, right? So Three Finger Jack. Oh, I went past it, didn't I? Gosh. Did I go past it? Nope. I'm sorry. Here. Gosh, I lost it. Well, it disappeared. Pardon me? Okay. That was after lower. Okay. Oh, there it is. Thank you. So here's the trail, and this is where here's the trailhead. It's called Jack Lake. It is nothing worth taking a shot of. This is the hike in. There's the junction I was talking about. A lot of people disappear around the waterfall. A lot of people will go here to the water. There's a waterfall here. And Wasco Lake is a prime hiking area where a lot of those hikers that do this trail end up. So we go here, we go along into the meadow, which is actually about right here. This is a trail all the way to the summit. I never go up on the summit. This is the meadow right here. And then this is a trail back out. So by the time you're at this junction, you get into the lower meadow right about here. And then this is the main meadow. By the time you get past that junction, you're only looking at 8 or 10 hikers. I once saw a Boy Scout troop up there. They had about 10 Boy Scouts up there taking water samples and taking seed samples for a merit badge. Yes. We were having a discussion about that. I could not find those details on the website anywhere. I went to recreation.gov. Well, the way it looks right now, they've gone back to just a $5 permit you pay at the parking lot. So that's the latest I have on it. They tried it at several places. Yeah. So I think they've gone back to just the $5 a day permit. Yeah. So it is required. Yeah. And you can buy that right there at the trailhead. You can do whatever you want up there. I've seen people laying naked in the flowers singing. Yeah, you never know what you're going to run into out there. No. Yeah, you never know what you're going to run into out there. Yeah, good point. I didn't want to scare anyone away. One of them was me. No, no, no. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, any other questions? These are the wildflower sites I'm looking at. I'm looking to shoot 3 beaches up in the Olympic Peninsula this year. I'm happy to share trip information when I go there as well. I'm looking to photograph Mount Hood and the Three Sisters this year. 3 different beaches: Shy Beach, Second Beach, and yeah. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye, Zoomers.